Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Ann Parisi. I'm here today with our founder, Jack Roser, and Michael Carbone, and we're talking about school boards, school districts, roofs. But now, Michael, before
People
the
might
break...
ask why I brought roofs into the education thing, and because it's this. You talked about there's two factors here in running the board. There is the education of the children, and then there's these other
expenditures,
spending things.
Yep.
See? So the kids are the excuse for this going on over there. And it's possible to have different subjective opinions about what kind of education the kids should have. So I laid off of that, and I went after the spending side of this thing. And that's where I found this immense incompetency, wrongheadedness, and a money machine that's going on at great expense, and at the excuse that they're teaching children. But it's become apparent that's what's coming out of the schools when you look at the way these younger people are voting. They don't know a damn thing about the founders of our country. Mm-hmm. These people that are in charge, again, it is the left-wing IEA union going back to 1993. I can show you copies of the article that I purchased 1,000 of and distributed in 1993, and this whole damn thing was operating back then when this socialist NEA, National Extortion Association, Mr. Forbes called them, set this thing up to educate kids that would submit to the socialist way of running things and like it. So we've arrived at that point. This is all being run by the, I hate to call it the teachers union because it isn't. It's the Illinois Education Association, and the teachers are the biggest victim of their stinking union. I'll be glad to take off why I would call the teachers the victim of their own union, but they are. The union is stealing their money.
Michael, you were going to say something, and I want to go back to what we were talking about before the break, too.
Well, I just, you got to keep in mind, and I wouldn't necessarily put it under incompetence. You've got a treasure trove of taxes. You've got people in associations that spend their time, full time, figuring out a way to get their hands on that. You've got law firms that are doing nothing but that. I'll give you an example. There's an $11 million school that was built for 20 kids.
Where?
This is in Georgia. 26 teachers. There's 26 employees for 20 kids.
11 kids or 20 kids?
There's 20 kids. There's 26 staff.
Wow.
The school cost $11 million. And I'm sure in your community, you've seen them knock down schools that seemed like they were fine schools to build something new, because they come in and they say, well, it's going to cost more to fix than to build new.
They did that to the Roslyn Road School in Barrington, where I live, and they tore the blasted thing down.
Yes, sir, because
it's a process that stinks to high heaven.
It's a way of jumping into that tax trough and getting that money.
All right, but here's the deal. Michael, you being on the school board, how many of the tax-paying folks show up to school board meetings to see where their taxpayer dollars are going and what kind of decisions are being made by the school board?
Very minimal. That's one of the reasons why I was successful and effective the first year or two on the board, is because I would go out and knock door to door, talk to folks, and tell them what was going on. And it's a lot of work. But and I also did what a lot of folks don't do, or elected officials won't do, is ask for help. And so if I have to on any given day, I can get people to come to a school board meeting. And there's tools out there that you can use and utilize to help you get those efforts to the board. But to answer your question, how many people are? Not a lot, unless you got people out there letting them know. You know, we have become slaves to our system, okay? We have. You go back 40 years ago, you had a single-family household that worked, okay? Or not, did I say single-family? Mm-hmm. Is that right? But now you have a two-household income.
Single-income household that work. Yes. Traditional mom stay home, take care of the house and the kids, and the husband goes to work.
So break it down.
Right.
You have two people working in the household.
Right.
Now they have a family, and they're tired. They got to cook. They got to get everyone off to school in the morning and come home. I mean, and the only one that benefited was the government. Because what do? Before, they just doubled their income, their revenue source. They used to get one tax. Now they have two taxes coming out of each household. And so when you have library, park district, school board, village board, township board, you have these meetings monthly. 2 meetings usually on each taxing body monthly. How can you, as a taxpayer, pay attention to what's going on?
So what I'm hearing from you, Michael, we
It's
just
too
came
much.
off a big federal election, presidential election. People get engaged a little more then. But what I'm hearing from you is people really need to start taking ownership of their own little communities.
Yeah, I mean, we do. We need to. We don't know what, the goal is to elect our officials and entrust them to do the right thing, how we would probably do in our own home, let's say. But we cannot, I think that trust has been fractured. And I think people have become so complacent, they don't even want to care. They just want to make sure everything's fine and dandy and work.
Do you think they become complacent because they're jaded and they're just sick of the political process and they feel like there's nothing they can do anyway?
I think it's to a point, and I know this in my own community where I live, my subdivision, people just don't want to hear about the bad stuff going on. They want life to be just fine and just go on their merry way, which that's great, but that's not a real world. Not where I grew up. I never saw that in my life. I wish, and you watch movies about that, but that's not the reality of life. And for those folks, we need to find ways to get more people engaged, because if you really did see, and everybody that does come to my school board meeting, they walk away in terror and in disgust because they can't believe what they're hearing.
So now you've engaged them. So now you've kind of ruffled their feathers a little bit, kind of like how Saul Alinsky would say to agitate them. Now you've got them a little more involved. So what I'm hearing from you is when it affects people on a personal level, when it hits their own pocketbook or they feel like that they're being misled and misguided, then they'll get involved. I guess my next question to you would be, how do people start getting involved in the school board? And you were talking about school board elections. They are coming up this April, is that correct?
Yes. Well, right, and petitions you can circulate the petitions right now, and you can file, I think December 5th is the first date. The last date is Christmas Eve, December 24th.
Isn't that convenient?
But those petitions, you have to go and get signatures and get you on the ballot.
How many signatures are necessary?
Every township is different.
50.
But it's between, I would say 50 is a good number. It's very simple.
But you want to get 3 times that amount because of petition challenges. And to what you said, these elections are rigged. They're not really rigged.
They're rigged.
Well, let's explain to our listeners what you mean by that, though, because you've got union people, administrators that promote their own folks that they want to put on the school board, which benefits them by increasing.
Let's just describe what we've got on the school boards. What we've got is that this process that Mike's talking about has been going on for a long time, and the people that profit out of it are largely the people that run the union. That's the one that's sucking up the money from every direction is the union. And they have gotten so much money, they get roughly $1,000 a year in dues from each teacher. The last year we have records is 2010. And the union sucked up from the teachers in just dues, not anything that's going to do a damn thing good for the teachers. They sucked up about $132 million in Illinois.
So $132 million went to the teachers' union.
And for what? Well, this is such an outrage that the National Right to Work Committee has been banging away for like 40 years about the rottenness of this arrangement that has gotten poked into our school system to educate our kids. Here's this fantastic sum in Illinois, $132 million a year goes into the hands of the teachers' union. The Supreme Court of the United States in the Beck decision said that 80% of that money, that's about $100 million a year, goes for nothing but union politics. So the union has been spending every year in Illinois about $100 million to get things their way. Well, where's the money gone? It goes into publicity. There are all kinds of propaganda crap, lies that you get from the union about what's really going on. And a whole bunch of that goes to Michael Madigan and his daughter, and his daughter is the Attorney General. I don't say that there's anything felonious going on here, but that's an awful lot of money that's going to people new questioning their motives and how it's used.